kinematics. We will be relating with both one-dimensional as well as two-dimensional motion with average velocities, horizontal motion, oblique motion, that is oblique projectiles, as well as horizontal projectiles with some applications for complementary angles of projection. One more application, this is an also important application. Same range for complementary angles of projection. Complementary angles of projection. So, if theta 1 plus theta 2 is equal to 90 degrees, then these two angles are said to be complementary angles. Here we are going for complementary angles of projection. One is projected with theta, another one is projected with 90 minus theta. One is projected with theta, other one is projected with 90 minus theta. For these two, range will be same. Range 1 for first one and range 2 for second one will be same. Height h1, height h2. h1 is the height for first projectile and h2 is the height for second projectile. Both are projected with same velocity. Here velocity of first one is equal to velocity of second one is equal to u. Both are projected with same velocity. He is asking to show that range is same, heights are different, time of flights are different. Range, we know u square sin 2 theta by g for first projectile. Similarly, for second projectile, R2 is equal to u square sin of 2 90 minus theta by g. On simplification, we will get R2 again as u square sin 2 theta by g, because you can write here sin square sin 180 minus 2 theta by g. Sin 180 minus 2 theta is what? Sin theta. So, simply there sin 2 theta, sin u square sin 2 theta by g. Therefore, what will get? Therefore, R1 is equal to R2, that is ratio of range is same for complementary angles of projection. When we check for height, maximum height of first one h1 u square sin square theta by 2g. h2, what is h2? You will get h2 is equal to u square sin square 90 minus theta by 2g. So, what is sin of 90 minus theta? Sin of 90 minus theta is cos theta. So, we will get this as u square cos square theta by 2g. So, h1 by h2 is equal to, we will get sin square theta by cos square theta. Therefore, h1 by h2 is equal to tan square theta. So, ratio of heights h1 by h2 is equal to tan square theta for complementary angles of projection. When we go for time of flights, what is time of flight? T1 2u sin theta by g, T2 2u sin of 90 minus theta by g. This is equal to what? 2u cos theta by g. First one angle of projection is theta, second angle of projection is 90 minus theta. Now, what will get? Sin of 90 minus theta is cos theta. So, 2u cos theta by g. When we divide these two, T1 by T2 is equal to tan theta. So, ratio of time of flights T1 by T2 is equal to tan theta. So for complementary angles of projection means sum of the two angles should be equal to 90 degrees. Sum of the two angles is equal to 90 degrees. Here it is projected with same velocity. One angle of projection is theta, other angle of projection is 90 minus theta. So what will get here? Range we know u square sine 2 theta by 2g. So it is u square sine 2 theta by g for first one. First one angle of projection is theta. Second angle of projection is 90 minus theta. In the place of theta I am substituting 90 minus theta. 2 into 90 minus theta is 180 minus 2 theta. Sine of 180 minus theta is what? Sine theta. In the place of theta what we got? 2 theta. I am substituting here u square sine 2 theta by g. So we observe R1 R2 are same. Range is same for complementary angles of projection. But heights as well as time of flights differ. Ratio of heights is tan square theta. Ratio of times is tan theta. So this is also one of the important application for projectile motion. One more projectile. If you project from a height h, but it makes an angle theta with horizontal. So this is also a oblique projectile projected from height h. So when we write the equations for here, this will be u cos theta and this direction is u sin theta. It is projected from a height h at an angle theta with horizontal. It is similar to the equation minus h is equal to u sin theta t minus half gt square. Maximum height above the horizontal, h max is equal to u square sin square theta by 2g. Total height raised by the projectile. Total height gained by the projectile from the ground is small h plus capital H maximum. It is also a oblique projectile, very rare application, but it is projected from a height h from the top of the tower. If you go for one more application of horizontal projectile motion, right? Suppose he is asking us find the angle of sight from point of projection to maximum height of a projectile. Find the angle of sight from point of projection to maximum height of a projectile made with horizontal. Suppose if you are taking a projectile, this is a projectile, maximum height projected with u h max this will become r by 2. When we join the line from line of sight to point of projection, O to A is line of sight. Angle made by the line of sight, let us take it as alpha, and the angle of projection I will take it as theta naught. Theta naught is angle of projection. Alpha is angle of line of sight made. So he is asking the relation between theta naught and alpha. From maths we can write tan alpha is equal to h by r by 2, or this can be written as 2h by r. But we know 4h is equal to r tan theta, but we know the relation 4h is equal to r tan theta. 4h is equal to r tan theta. So tan alpha, alpha is angle of line of sight, 2h by r. If I multiply 2 for the numerator and denominator, tan alpha is equal to 4h by 2r. This can be written as tan theta by 2. So therefore the relation we got it as tan alpha is equal to tan theta by 2. Therefore tan alpha equals tan theta by 2. This is what the relation between line of sight and angle of projection. He is asking find the angle of sight from point of projection to maximum height of a projectile. Angle of sight is nothing but line of sight. Instead of angle of sight, you can call it as line of sight also. So this is what we got the relation. Find the angle of sight. Angle of sight or line of sight. I will write here line of sight. Angle of sight or line of sight. Average velocities in kinematics, how to calculate average velocity. When you go for definition of average velocity, total displacement by total time. This is what average velocity. If you go for average speed, total distance by total time is average speed. Average velocity is total displacement by total time. First example, if a body covers s1 distance and s2 distance with velocities v1 and v2. It is covering s1 distance with velocity v1, it is covering s2 distance with velocity v2. Then average velocity is s1 plus s2 total distance by total time. But we know time is equal to distance by velocity. So t1 is equal to s1 by v1, t2 is equal to s2 by v2. So when we substitute here s1 plus s2 by s1 by v1 plus s2 by v2, this is average velocity. Or when we simplify it, what you will get here? v1 v2 into s1 plus s2 by s1 v2 plus s2 v1, average velocity. It is covering s1 distance with v1 velocity, s2 distance with v2 velocities. So basic definition is total displacement by total time. So when we simplify that, v1 v2 into s1 plus s2 by s1 v2 plus s2 v1. If you want to substitute the numericals, let v1 is equal to 40 kilometer per hour, V2 is equal to 60 kilometer per hour, S1 is equal to S by 2, S2 is equal to S by 2. First half of the distance covered with 40 kilometer per hour, second half of the distance covered with 60 kilometer per hour. In that case, what is the average velocity? We will calculate average velocity. So V1 plus V2. So this is V1 V2 into S by 2 plus S by 2 by S1 V1 plus S2 V1, S1 V2 plus S2 V1, but S1 is equal to S2. So ultimately what will get? V1 V2, S2 plus S1 will get 2 by V1 plus V2. Therefore 2 into 40 into 60 by 40 plus 60. So 2 into 40 into 60 by 100. So 2 zeros, 2 zeros. 2 4s are 8, 8 6 are 48 kilometer per hour is the average velocity of a body traveling in this direction. Here we have taken first half, second half. What we got? 2 V1 V2 by V1 plus V2. Suppose if it has taken into 3 equal parts, S1 is equal to S by 3, S2 is equal to S by 3, S3 is equal to S by 3. Then in that case, average velocity for 3 different parts. For 3 different parts, we will be getting 3 V1, V2, V3 by V1, V2 plus V2, V3 plus V3, V1. Here the body is traveling with 3 parts, S by 3, S by 3, S by 3 with velocities V1, V2 and V3. Total journey it is covering with 3 different velocities V1, V2, V3. But V1 first 1/3, V2 second 1/3, V3 last 1/3. In that case, if you work out average velocities, you will get 3 V1 V2 V3 by V1 V2 plus V2 V3 plus V3 V1. What is the difference between this case and this case? It is 2 equal parts, it is 3 equal parts. So that is the difference between these 2 different cases. Suppose if he has given, if I go for next example, if he has given body covers a distance V1 velocity and V2 velocity with time T1 and T2. One part it is covering with the velocity V1, another part it is covering with the velocity V2, another part it is covering with the velocity T, time T1 and T2. In this case, what is the average velocity? First S1, S1 is equal to V1 T1, S2 is equal to V2 T2. So I will substitute there. So average velocity is equal to V1 T1 plus V2 T2 by T1 plus T2. This will become the average velocity. And if a body is traveling with a constant velocity, then average velocity is what? If acceleration is constant, then average velocity is initial velocity plus final velocity by 2. When acceleration is constant, initial velocity plus final velocity by 2 is the average velocity. If acceleration is not constant, it is traveling with different velocities, then these are the different situations. What is the basic definition? Total displacement by total time. And displacement sign convention is what? Always along positive x-axis you take positive sign, along negative x-axis you take negative sign. Based on kinematics, first I will take displacement versus time. displacement versus time graph. Graphs also plays an important role. I'll take displacement on y-axis, time and x-axis. Suppose if the line is parallel to time axis, if the line is parallel to time axis, then we say body is at rest. Time is increasing, but there is no displacement of the body. So, the body is at rest. Suppose if the line is passing through origin, if the line is passing through origin, if I take slope tan theta is equal to ds by dt, which is velocity. So, slope is velocity. Slope of ST curve is velocity. It is moving with constant velocity because slope is constant. As slope is constant, velocity is constant. Since slope is constant, velocity is constant. If I take one application based on this one, two particles whose ST curves, one is making 30 degrees, one is making 60 degrees. This is velocity v1 and this is velocity v2. Two particles, 1 and 2, are in motion with constant velocity, whose motion is plotted on ST curve. He is asking us ratio of velocities. v1 by v2. Velocity of ST curve is nothing but slope. So, it is tan 30 by tan 60. So, v1 by v2 is equal to tan 30 is 1 by root 3, tan 60 is root 3. So, v1 by v2 is 1 by 3. So, from the graphs we can calculate the simply by ratio of velocities. Suppose if the curve is parabola, if ST curve is in this way, parabola, symmetric about displacement. So, here you can represent when u is 0, s is equal to half a t square, s proportional to t square. Here acceleration is constant. That means the body is accelerating. Slope is changing continuously. Here the slope is what? Slope is equal to acceleration, which is equal to dv by dt or d square s by dt square. It is accelerating. It is symmetric about displacement. If starts from rest, we know s is equal to half a t square, s proportional to t square. It is nothing but equation of parabola. The graph is a parabola. Suppose if it is in this way, we can say it is decelerating or negative acceleration. Negative acceleration. So, in this way we can try to get the plot on displacement and time. We can get velocity, we can get acceleration, even you can understand when it is decelerating or when it is accelerating. Velocity versus time. If the plot Vt, the line is parallel to time axis. The line is parallel to time axis. Slope is 0. That means body is moving, body is in motion with constant velocity. That is, acceleration is 0. The body is moving with a constant velocity. There is no change in its velocity even though time is increasing. Hence, this is said to be moving with a constant velocity. When a body is moving with constant velocity, acceleration is 0. Now, when you plot one more graph for same velocity versus time, suppose if the plot is v versus t passing through origin, then the slope is equal to dv by dt, which is acceleration. So, slope of Vt curve gives acceleration. Here acceleration is constant or uniform acceleration, and area under Vt curve gives distance or displacement. Area under Vt curve gives distance or displacement, because area is what? Length into breadth. Length into breadth is what? Velocity into time. Velocity into time is what? Either distance or displacement. So, area under Vt curve you can use to calculate either distance or displacement. We will observe an example how to calculate distance or displacement. I will take a Vt curve, V versus T curve. So, the graph is given in this way. So, this is time in seconds, velocity in meters per second. This value is 4 and this value is 2, this is also minus 2, this is the origin. So, let us take 2, 4, 6, 10. This is 2, 4, 6, this will be 8 and that is 10. From the given graph, is a Vt graph, he is asking us to find both distance as well as displacement. First, let me find out distance. Distance from the given Vt curve. Distance means always you try to take area above the time axis plus area below the time axis. Ante area above the time axis, area below the time axis rendu kuda add cheyali. Add chesthe meeku complete distance vastundi. So ippudu chudandi, area distance, area above the time axis, below the time axis. First area emundi manaku? Triangle. Idi triangle complete ga, this is triangle, one is rectangle and one more is also rectangle. So ఇక్కడ తీసుకుంటే ఫస్ట్ హాఫ్ ఇంటూ బేస్. ఈ ట్రయాంగిల్ బేస్ ఎంత? 4 యూనిట్స్ ఉంది, 0 to 4 కాబట్టి 4 యూనిట్స్. హైట్ 10 యూనిట్స్ ఉంది, హైట్ కూడా 4 యూనిట్స్ ఉంది. ప్లస్ ఇది ఎంత లెంత్ బ్రెడ్త్ సేమ్ ఉన్నాయి ఇక్కడ, 6 - 4 ఇక్కడ 2. సో 6 - 4 is 2 into 2. ఈ విడ్త్ ఎంత? 2. ఇది ఎంత? ఈ హైట్ 2 y యాక్సిస్ పైన. సో 2 into 2 అంటే ఇది స్క్వేర్ అయిపోయింది. ప్లస్ ఇదేమవుతుంది? rectangle. Student, rectangle length into breadth. 10 minus 6 is 4. 4 into 2. And when we calculate it, 8 plus 4 plus 8. 8 plus 8, 16. 16 plus 4 is 20. 20 square meters area. But area under VT curve is what? Either distance or displacement. Because we are adding area above the curve plus below the curve, will get distance. ఇప్పుడు ఇదే కేసులో డిస్ప్లేస్మెంట్ అడిగాడు అనుకోండి. డిస్ప్లేస్మెంట్ అడిగితే ఏరియా అబౌవ్ ద టైమ్ యాక్సిస్ మైనస్ ఏరియా బిలో ద టైమ్ యాక్సిస్ విల్ గివ్ అస్ డిస్ప్లేస్మెంట్. ఏరియా అబౌవ్ టైమ్ యాక్సిస్ లోంచి ఏరియా బిలో టైమ్ యాక్సిస్ సబ్ట్రాక్ట్ చేయండి, అప్పుడు మీకు డిస్ప్లేస్మెంట్ వస్తుంది ఫ్రమ్ వేటీ కర్వ్. సో ఏరియా అబౌవ్ ద టైమ్ యాక్సిస్ ఒకటి హాఫ్ బేస్ హైట్, హాఫ్ ఇంటూ బేస్ 4 హైట్ 4 ఈ ట్రయాంగిల్. ఇంకోటి అబౌవ్ ద టైమ్ యాక్సిస్ ఇంకో రెక్టాంగిల్ ఉంది మనకు, ప్లస్ లెంత్ ఈస్ 4 width is 2 మైనస్ ఇప్పుడు ఏరియా బిలో ద టైమ్ యాక్సిస్. ఏరియా బిలో ద టైమ్ యాక్సిస్ వచ్చేసి ఈ ఏరియా మాత్రమే ఏరియా బిలో ద టైమ్ యాక్సిస్, కాబట్టి ఇది సబ్ట్రాక్ట్ చేయండి. ఇది సబ్ట్రాక్ట్ చేస్తే ఏమొస్తుంది మీకు 2 into 2. సో ఇప్పుడు 2 times 8 plus 8 minus 4 అంటే ఇదేమవుతుంది 8 plus 4, అప్పుడు ఎంత అవుతుంది 12 meters. So displacement is 12 meters, distance is 20 meters. So clear ga area under VT curve either distance or displacement. Distance kavali ante mottham area add cheseyandi, area above the time axis and below the time axis. Displacement kavalante area above the time axis lonchi area below the time axis subtraction. Just subtract the area below the time axis, then you can calculate displacement. Another plot of velocity versus time. If it starts the graph in this way, velocity versus time, that means it has some initial velocity and moving with some acceleration. Initial velocity here is initial velocity is equal to v naught. Then body is in accelerated motion where a is equal to dv by dt. So if you want, you can write this dv is equal to a dt. It has constant acceleration. If you integrate initial velocity to final velocity, integral of dv is v, applying the limits, integral of dv is v, applying the limits, v naught to v is equal to a, integral of dt is t. So you will get here v minus v naught is equal to at, or v is equal to v naught plus at. This will become the equation for the given graph. Graphs lonchi evaida calculate cheyochu. This is one of the example. If you go for acceleration versus time. Acceleration versus time. Acceleration versus time. If the plot is parallel to time axis, we say it is moving with constant acceleration, right? Velocity is not constant. Now when we plot a graph like acceleration versus time, and he has given the plot in this way. This is rate of change of acceleration, that is slope, is equal to dA by dt when the plot is passing through the origin. So we can go for different plots in this way. You can calculate different. For example, if he has given v square minus u square equals 2ax, where u is 0, then what we got? U is 0, a is constant. He is asking us to plot a graph. When u is 0 and acceleration is constant, plot a graph, v versus x graph. So here we will get what? V square proportional to x. When we plot for x versus v or v versus x, then it will be symmetric about x axis. Parabola symmetric about x axis. So in this way we can plot different graphs based on the given question. Plotting the graph is most important. Just check which graph he has given and what he is asking. So in that way you can solve the numericals based on graphs also. A body starts from rest, accelerates with alpha meters per second for some time and decelerates with beta meters per second square for some time. Total time of motion is t. Find first bit maximum velocity attained in its motion. So first we will solve the first bit, maximum velocity attained in its motion. Body starts from rest, accelerates with alpha meter per second square for some time, then decelerates with beta meter per second square for some time and come to rest. Total time of journey is t seconds. What is the maximum velocity? We can solve this problem based on graph. So we will plot Vt graph. Why Vt graph? Because it is given acceleration as well as deceleration. Slope of Vt graph gives us acceleration or deceleration. So we will plot a graph and solve it. First bit will solve velocity versus time graph. First it accelerates, then decelerates. Accelerates with alpha, decelerates with beta. Let us take this is a maximum velocity attained by it. This is for t1 seconds, this is for t2 seconds. It accelerates, let us take for t1 seconds, decelerates for t2 seconds. So total time of journey is t1 plus t2, because he has given total time of journey. He has not given t1, t2 values. We are assuming let it accelerates for t1 seconds and decelerates for t2 seconds. Then t is equal to t1 plus t2. Based on this one, we will apply first equation of motion. Final velocity is Vmax, initially starts from rest, alpha t1. So t1 is equal to Vmax by alpha for first part. For second part, decelerates. Final velocity 0, initial velocity Vmax, deceleration with beta for t2 seconds. Now it starts with Vmax after t1 seconds. After t1 seconds, what is the velocity? V maximum. From V maximum to come to 0, it will take t2 seconds. Final velocity 0, initial starts with Vmax, decelerates t2. So what is t2 here? T2 equals, you will get V max by beta. But we want total time. So what is total time? Total time t is equal to t1 plus t2. So V max, if I take common, remaining is 1 by alpha plus 1 by beta. So time we got t is equal to V max into alpha plus beta by alpha beta. So maximum velocity during the journey is t into alpha beta by alpha plus beta. This is the maximum velocity attained in its motion. For same thing, if he is asking acceleration, so it is simply average acceleration Vmax by t, which is equal to alpha beta by alpha plus beta. Acceleration. If he is asking us distance or displacement, third bit, displacement, S is equal to ut plus half at square. Already he said starts from rest, u is 0 plus half, a value is what? Alpha beta by alpha plus beta into t square. So displacement is half alpha beta alpha plus beta into t square. This will become the displacement. Total displacement, our acceleration, maximum velocity, time in terms of alpha beta. So whatever he is asking, we plotted from the graph. If you take area under this one, what is the area of the first triangle? Half into base into height gives us S1. S1 is equal to what? Half into base. Base is T1 into alpha. S1 is T1 into half into T1 into alpha. S2 is what? Half into T2 into beta. Total distance is what? S1 plus S2. In that way also you can get the total distance covered. We will go for one more example. A juggler is throwing n balls per second. Juggler is throwing n balls per second vertically up. If he throws second ball up, second ball upwards, when first ball is at maximum height. Find the maximum height attained by each ball. Juggler is throwing n balls per second vertically up. You know juggler who is playing with the balls. You will be throwing one ball and immediately second ball comes. You will be playing the balls. Number of balls will be in his hands. You might seen in the exhibitions or any fates, in some jatras also like that. He will be playing with the balls. How many balls he is throwing every second? N balls. He throws the first ball. When first ball is at maximum height, he throws the second ball. In such a way, if he plays with the balls తో ఆడుతూ ఉన్నాడు, ఫస్ట్ బాల్ మ్యాక్సిమం హైట్కి వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత సెకండ్ బాల్ వేస్తాడు. అంటే గాల్లో బాల్ ఆడుతూనే ఉంటాయి, ఒకటి వస్తుంది పోతుంది. ఇది ఎగ్జిబిషన్లో చూసుండొచ్చు మీరు. సో ఆ విధంగా వెన్ he throws n balls per second vertically up, he throws the second ball upwards when first ball is at maximum height. ఫస్ట్ బాల్ మ్యాక్సిమం హైట్కి వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత రెండో బాల్ వేస్తాడు. సో ఇలా కంటిన్యూ ఆడుతూనే ఉంటాడు. అయితే ఒక్కొక్క బాల్ ఎంత హైట్కి వెళ్తుంది అని క్వశ్చన్. వాట్ ఈస్ ద హైట్ అటైన్డ్ బై ఈచ్ బాల్? సో కైనమెటిక్స్లో ఇలాంటి మంచి ఇంపార్టెంట్ క్వశ్చన్స్ వస్తూ ఉంటాయి. మీరు జాగ్రత్తగా ఆలోచించి చేయండి. డెఫినెట్లీ అసలు ఫిజిక్స్లో ఒక టైప్ ఆఫ్ కాన్ఫిడెన్స్ వస్తుంది మీకు. ఫైండ్ ద మ్యాక్సిమం హైట్ అటైన్డ్ బై ఈచ్ బాల్. ఫస్ట్ ఏం చేద్దామంటే టైమ్ టేకెన్ బై ఈచ్ బాల్. ఒక బాల్ మ్యాక్సిమం హైట్ అంటే టైమ్ ఆఫ్ అసెంట్ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు యూ బై జీ. టైమ్ ఆఫ్ అసెంట్ ఏంటి? టైమ్ టేకెన్ టు రీచ్ maximum height. Time taken to reach maximum height. How many balls is throwing? N balls per every 1 second. N balls per 1 second. So time for one ball is what? 1 by n seconds. Time for one ball to reach maximum height. N balls per second. Time taken by one ball to reach maximum height is 1 by a second. So therefore time of ascent is equal to how much you will get? Time of ascent is 1 by n. But already what is time of ascent? Time of ascent is equal to u by g. So I will substitute there. U by g is equal to 1 by n seconds. He said n balls per second. So time for one ball is 1 by n seconds. Time period is inversely proportional to frequency. We know time of ascent is equal to u by g. Here also time taken to reach maximum height. So therefore time of ascent is equal to 1 by n seconds. Time of ascent is equal to 1 by n. So u is equal to what? G by n. So we got velocity. He is throwing the every ball with a velocity of g by n units. But what is asking us? Find the maximum height attained by each ball. What is the maximum height equation from the concept of h is equal to u square by 2g? From the concept of vertically projected bodies, maximum height h is equal to u square by 2g. So h is equal to u is g by n whole square by 2g. In the place of u, I am substituting g by n. So it is g by n whole square by 2g. So what will get now? G square by 2n square g. By substituting u is equal to g by n. In the place of h is equal to u square by 2g. This is the maximum height attained from the concept of vertically projected body. అందులో u ప్లేస్ లో g by n సబ్స్టిట్యూట్ చేస్తున్నాను. g by n హోల్ స్క్వేర్, g by n హోల్ స్క్వేర్. ఇది g స్క్వేర్ by n స్క్వేర్ డినామినేటర్లో వచ్చేస్తుంది. Now we'll simplify it. G and g get cancelled. So h is equal to g by 2n square. This is the maximum height attained by each ball. Find the ratio of maximum heights. Find the ratio of maximum heights when two stones are projected with same velocity at an angle 30 degrees and 60 degrees with horizontal respectively. Find the ratio of maximum heights when two stones are projected with same velocity at an angle 30 degrees and 60 degrees with horizontal respectively. 30-60 means complementary angles of projection. So already we have calculated complementary of projection. h1 by h2 is what? Tan square theta. What is the ratio? h1 by h2 is equal to tan square theta. So what will you get h1 by h2 value? So what is h1? h1 is equal to u square sin square 30 by 2g. h2 is equal to u square sin square 60 degrees by 2g. So what is h1 by h2? h1 is directly proportional to sin square 30. This is sin square 60. So h1 by h2 is how much? 1 by 4 by 3 by 4. What will get? 1 by 3. So directly what is that? Tan square 30. Tan square 30 is what? 1 by root 3. So similar case whatever you will get.